So in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to make the ladyfingers, the biscuits that we will be using to make tiramisu. So the tiramisu that we will be doing in this lesson is one that we will be setting up in a box for a change. So I'll also be explaining how you go with about the traditional setting up with the fingers going around. So I thought for a change, let's also understand how to set up desserts in a box. So it is like quite handy for you to be able to set up with that idea any kind of dessert. With all the cakes that we have made, you'll also be able to set up one of the dessert or even layered cakes in a box like that. And so we'll have to also learn that specific thing. So I have the ingredients here. This one is using eggs. I have sugar, the yolks, and then the whites. They are separated. The egg is separated and the sugar is together. I'm going to make meringue with half of the sugar going into the whites, and then I'll be beating the yolks with half of the sugar. And then there is dry, there is all-purpose flour, corn flour and salt. I will sift all of them together, and vanilla could go into yolks. Now I'll have three different elements: the yolks and the sugar beaten up to ribbon consistency, and then the whites and the sugar, which is the meringue, that is the second component, and then all the dry. And then we fold them together, and this is a fatless sponge, and it is going to be very airy inside, but it is also going to be crispier. It is going to be a cookie. We are going to pipe them into long finger-like cookies. And this will have the retention capacity because we are going to soak it in coffee syrup. And tiramisu by nature, it is the coffee flavored dessert, but with the same ladyfinger that you learn to make, then you will be able to come up with different possibilities, but that particular cookie will be able to retain any flavored syrup, sugar syrup, and then you can create any different kind of desserts as well. So let's start with sifting the dry and then keeping it aside. So into another bowl, I'm going to add all-purpose flour, corn flour, and then the salt. Sifted it together, and I'm going to keep that aside. I also have a baking tray lined with silpat. Into this is where I'm going to pipe the ladyfinger. So it will be a thick batter. I'll be filling my piping bag, and I'll fit that with a round nozzle, and then I'll be piping it out. I'll show you when we get to pipe the batter. To start with, I want to start with beating the yolks. Like if we have to beat the whites first and then keep it separately, and then the whites go dry, and so we'll have a dry crust on top of the cookie. Now if you have a hand beater and you're going to use only one beater to beat, then obviously you might have to do the whites first and then set it aside, and then be as quick to come back to the yolks and then get it to the ribbon consistency, so you don't have the whites leaving aside for long, and so you could avoid that drying part. Also, it's very important to do the whites first, because you can do the whites and with the same beater, just you could scrape off the excess meringue and use the same beater blade to start beating the yolks, but you can't do the vice versa. You can't beat the yolks first, and even if you wash, it has to be like extremely clean, and you have to completely dry the beater and have a very dry bowl if you're going to beat the whites. Otherwise your whites are going to become runny and it's not going to froth up, and if it case happens that the whites just didn't froth up at all, then you might have to trash that and then start over with a fresh set of whites. So I'm going to start the yolks. I'm going to fit the paddle, add the yolks in. I'm going to beat and wait until the yolks are broken up, and I'm going to add the sugar a little at a time. So now this is the entire sugar for the recipe. Now I'm going to eyeball and then add only half of it to the yolk, And if you will not be able to eyeball it and you feel like you just want to be exactly precise, then divide the sugar into 2 different bowls, and then you can start adding one part into the yolk and the other part into the white. The yolk is thickened and I'm going to add the vanilla. So I've been beating this for about 3 to 4 minutes now. Let me just check the consistency. I'm just going to scrape down to incorporate all the sugar that was added. You can see it is quite thick. This is good. It's pale, but I've just scraped down some of the sugar. I just want that to get incorporated. I'm going to beat this again for about 1 more minute. So it looks good now. I'm just going to take this out and show how the texture looks. Okay, so the thick yolk with sugar and the falling ribbon consistency looks like this. I'm just going to set this aside. And now get another bowl fitted with a balloon whisk. Into this I'm going to add the whites. And get a stand mixer, fill the bowl. Now I'm just going to start beating and wait until the egg whites froth up, after which I'm going to start adding the sugar a little at a time. We're going to wait until the meringue forms, and it is anywhere between soft and stiff peaks, and it has to still be glossy and not become dry. So it's been beating for about 4 to 5 minutes. Let me check how the soft peaks look. It looks stiff and it is glossy, so I'm just going to stop beating this. Okay, and now I have 3 different elements, which is the yolks in ribbon consistency, the whites, and then the flour. Now into the yolks bowl, I'm just going to add the flour in 3 parts and meringue also in 3 parts. I'm just going to mix it up and then just drizzle the first part of the flour. And then 1 part of the meringue, both together. I'm just going to gently cut and fold. By cutting and fold, you just break the whites first, not much, but just go till the bottom of the bowl. And because it is the first addition, even if you see the streaks of whites, don't try to incorporate it completely. Even with a little bit of the whites seen, just stop mixing, because we don't want to over mix, and if you over mix, then you're going to have the batter deflated and then just become quite thin. We want a thick batter. I'm just going to drizzle the second part of the flour. And second part of the meringue as well. Again, break the meringue. Cut and fold. Incorporate by scraping the sides of the bowl as well. Go till the bottom, just cut and fold. Again, this is the second addition, so before even the last addition, even if you see some streak of the whites, just let it be, and finish with the third part. Just drizzling the flour, trying to distribute it on the surface and not just dropping it in one place. Now all of the white will go in. I'm just going to fold, break the whites and just go till the bottom. The batter has to be thick, so don't over mix. Okay, so this looks good like this. You have a mixture where you have all the 3 components mixed together, but then the batter is still thick, and that's what we are looking at. And I'm just going to fill the batter in a piping bag, and before which I'm just going to use a bigger round nozzle so I can just have even piping. I'm just going to fit the nozzle in the piping bag. Just get the nozzle out. So it's easier to use a tall glass to fill. You could divide the batter into 2 piping bags as well, if handling it in one could be difficult. So you can see the batter is just about to come out. I'm just going to get the baking tray and then start piping. So I'm just looking at anywhere between a size like this, around 3.5 inch to about 4 inch. So I could have a little bit of extra, so I can cut it on either sides and then assemble it in the box, the dessert box that I'm going to set the tiramisu in. So just start piping. So I'll need another tray to fill this up as well. I will do that into another tray and bake both of them together. Now this will need to get baked at the oven, preheating at 180 degree Celsius. It will need anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes. Just wait until the edges are turning golden brown, and then if you have the top turning golden brown, it's quite fine, but ovens vary, so if the top doesn't turn golden brown, doesn't matter, you just need to wait for the edges to turn golden brown. You could just also flip it through and then check if the cookies just leave the mat out, and then you have the bottom also turning golden brown. Just wait until 10 to 12, or it could also go anywhere to about 13-14, not more than that, or otherwise your cookies are going to be too brittle. And so I'll get back after doing that and I'll show you how the ladyfingers got baked. So I just wanted to show you one tip where we have the peaks that are there. We just don't want it in the completed finger. So it's just a bowl of simple plain water. I'm just going to dip my fingers into that and then just dab on the peak. And just flatten it out so you have all the sides, both of them, kind of even, because you're going to leave that with the tip. It's going to bake and come out like that. The second half of the batter, the leftover, I just piped it, and that's a perforated mat. Just don't need to use that. You could just use a silk pad or even a sheet of parchment paper, should be fine. So this was just the final leftover batter, so the shape is not pretty great, but it could just be used anywhere in between. Okay, so we have even ladyfingers on both the sides. I thought it was important to show this tip, so now I'll get back to actually baking it and then come and show you how these fingers got baked. So the ladyfingers baked and come out. They look beautiful. You can see it is turned golden brown on the top as well. I'm just going to lift this off, and then you can see the bottom is nice and golden brown. Okay, so they are crisp at the stage out of the oven, and if you're going to leave it out in the room temperature, it could get soggy because of the condensation. And even if you're going to store it into airtight containers, again they will get soggy because obviously inside the box there will be condensation. Now if you want to retain the crispy texture, once it is baked and cooled down, like it's like 5 to 10 minutes out of the oven, and you have to put them in the Ziplocs and then just seal the air out, and then you could keep it in the freezer until you're ready to use. And even if they turn a bit soggy, doesn't matter. They are still fine because you're anyway going to soak it in the coffee syrup and then use it in the dessert. But if you want them crispy to go on the outside, if you're going to assemble them in the traditional way, then the best way to store is to put it in the ziploc and then remove, just get all the air out of the ziploc, seal it and then fold the ziploc, and then maybe you could put it into the airtight container and then freeze it, so you could just use it for longer. I'll just get back in the next lesson where I'll show you how we are going to layer and finish making a tiramisu.